Do the existing endowments require zakat or not? For example, if someone dedicates an endowment for their descendants, for the poor and needy, or for students of knowledge, does the income generated from this endowment require zakat? Or if someone dedicates, say, 10 acres of land that produces crops, do the fruits of this land require zakat or not? First of all, an endowment falls into one of two categories. The first case is when the endowment is for a public cause, like the poor and needy, mosques, fighters, orphans, schools, students of knowledge, scholars, or other charitable purposes, right? In this case, there is no zakat due because the benefit is for the general public of Muslims, and this is the opinion of the majority of scholars. Zakat does not apply to property dedicated to public causes, according to the majority of Hanafi, Shafi'i, and Hanbali scholars, contrary to the Maliki view. These scholars agree that zakat is not due on public funds for the benefit of Muslims or causes like aiding the poor. Abu Huraira narrated that the Prophet, peace be upon him, commanded zakat. When told that Ibn Jamil, Khalid ibn al-Walid, and Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib withheld zakat, the Prophet explained, Ibn Jamil was poor and enriched by Allah. Khalid dedicated his wealth to Allah's cause. Abbas's situation was similar. Thus, no zakat was due on Khalid's dedicated wealth. As for Khalid, he has dedicated his wealth for Allah, so no zakat is due. Abbas's zakat is a charity upon him. The Prophet informed them that Khalid's wealth dedicated for Allah is exempt from zakat as it was held for public benefit. This is the majority opinion of scholars. Khalid has dedicated his wealth as an endowment for Allah, meaning no zakat is due on it. The Prophet informed that Khalid's endowment exempts him from zakat, as it benefits the public for Allah's sake. This aligns with the majority of scholars' views. In contrast, if an endowment is for specific individuals, like descendants or named persons, it may differ. For instance, in Saudi Arabia, endowments for children or specific people like Yasser or Zaid are common. If dedicated to a person or descendants, like 100 acres for children, the rules may vary. No zakat is due before a year passes. Property for public benefit doesn't need zakat. If an endowment is for a specific person or cause, zakat is due if crops reach the nisab and a year has passed. For example, if land is dedicated to children, zakat is due on crops, either 1/10 or 1/20th, depending on the type. Similarly, if gold coins are for lending, zakat is due after a year. The second case is when the endowment is for a specific individual. In Saudi Arabia, endowments can be for descendants, meaning dedicated to children and grandchildren, or specific individuals like Yasser, Zaid, or Ubaid. Crops from this land require zakat if they reach nisab and a year passes, either 1/10 or 1/20th, depending on the crops. If gold coins are dedicated for lending, zakat is due after a year. So the crops that come from them require zakat if they reach the nisab and a year has passed, just like if someone dedicated land for his children and descendants, then zakat would be due at 1/10 or half of 1/10, right? Similarly, if he dedicated gold coins for lending, then zakat would be due on them if a year has passed. Scholars agree on the obligation of zakat. If land is dedicated for children, crops require zakat. This indicates zakat is due on wealth or endowments for specific causes. If someone dedicates land for his children, the crops require zakat, which goes to the poor and needy. This obligation was upheld during the companions' time. Endowments for descendants existed then, and if zakat wasn't obligatory, they would have informed those receiving it. Since this wasn't clarified, it indicates zakat is due on wealth dedicated for a specific cause. In Gulf countries, someone might dedicate millions for his children, while another claims zakat doesn't apply, zakat is due, and for public endowments, zakat doesn't apply, but for specific individuals, it does. Zakat collectors should clarify if zakat doesn't apply to property for specific causes. Lack of clarification suggests zakat is due on wealth or endowments for specific causes. In Gulf countries, millions might be dedicated for children, yet zakat is claimed not to apply. How can it not? Hanbali and most scholars, including Malikis and Shafi'is, say it's due. Zakat doesn't apply to public cause endowments, but it does for specific individuals or descendants, according to most scholars. Especially in Gulf countries, you might find someone who, mashallah, has millions and has dedicated them for his children, while another person says that zakat does not apply. How can zakat not apply? Even according to the Hanbali school, zakat is due on it, and according to the opinion of the majority of scholars, including the Malikis, Shafi'is, and Hanbalis, zakat is due on it. So, for endowments for public causes, zakat does not apply, but for endowments for specific individuals or descendants, zakat is due according to the opinion of the majority of scholars, and Allah knows best.